Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron, New Life Pentecostal Church, Albany, Georgia. Glad you're here. We're looking at Easter, the correct translation in Acts 12:4. Almost universally it said no. But why did these learned translators, not just King James translators, but many others, including Martin Luther, translate it as such? Well, let's look at their reasoning, and you might be surprised. We've already seen that Easter does not come from Ishtar, but Easter comes from an old Teutonic term meaning resurrection. It's in a previous video. So it's in a playlist here. Dr. Paul Meyer, professor of ancient history at Western Michigan, who I love. I've done many reviews, or at least a few here on the channel of him, and good videos you can watch here too, that he does on YouTube, observes that if all the evidence is weighed carefully and fairly, it's indeed justifiable, according to the canons of historical research, to conclude that the sepulchre of Joseph of Arimathea, in which Jesus was buried, was actually empty on the morning of the first Easter. No shred of evidence has been discovered in literary sources, epigraphy, or archaeology that would disprove this statement. Some would argue that early Christians didn't celebrate Easter at this time, so it cannot be properly called by this name. It should be Passover. But the early Christians did come to celebrate Easter extremely early, because there's this massive controversy in the 2nd century AD about it for decades, and maybe into the 1st century. So here's testimonies about early Christians celebrating Easter. The history of Christian Easter is told about in the book History of the Christian Church. The first definite record of the celebration of Christian Easter is in connection with the visit of Polycarp, bishop of Smyrna, to Anicetus, bishop of Rome, in 154-155, in order to come to an agreement about the time of the observance of Easter. So they're already having arguments about it before this, the middle of the 2nd century, the 100s AD. Polycarp represented the more ancient custom of observing Easter with a vigil ending with the Lord's Supper through the night of the 14th of month Nisan, like the Jewish Passover, regardless of what day of the week the day might fall. Anicetus represented the Roman custom that was also followed in some parts of the East to have Easter feast always on a Sunday. Hence, because the resurrection was on a Sunday. They did not come to an agreement, but continued with their own practice. And man, there were some anathemas going on soon after this, if not even before. Many articles found on the internet say that Polycarp claimed the Apostle John celebrated the yearly event of the resurrection of the Lord Jesus Christ. In any event, it seems the early church began very soon to celebrate the special day. So it's got some other links here. The following is an excerpt from Thomas Holland's Crowned with Glory, which is a great book. I hope I've got a review on it here. A lot of reviews I did like 7, 8, 9 years ago. Sometimes I can't find them, who knows. And then maybe I thought I did them and didn't. Or maybe I did them like in a stack of books and it was one of a few. The Greek word Pasch, this is Thomas Holland, is translated as Passover in the KJV, with one exception where it's translated as Easter. Crowned with Glory, great book. Therefore, some point to this passage is a translation error on the KJV's part. However, earliest English translations, such as Tyndale, the Great Bible Bishops, also said it was Easter. And it was also in the Geneva Bible. The use of the word Pascha in early Christian writings dealt with the celebration of Easter and not just the Jewish Passover. Dr. G.W.H. Lamp has correctly stated that Pascha came to mean Easter in the early church. The ancient Christians did not keep the Jewish Passover. Instead, they kept as a holy day to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus near the time of both Passover and the pagan festival, celebrating the goddess Ostara. Dr. Lamp, who's great, by the way, check out Great Site Marketing, 1-800-42-BIBLE, John Jeffcoat, those guys, lists several rules and observances by Christians in celebration of their Pascha or Easter. Lamp also points to various Greek words such as Paschazo and Pascula, not Pascagoula, that came to mean Easter or Eastertide. Likewise, Dr. Gerhard Kittel, you've heard of the little Kittel and language study helps, notes that Pascha came to be called Easter in the celebration of the resurrection within the primitive church. Most people would say Kittel even though wasn't he a Nazi propagandist or something, but they would say he's authoritative in this area. It seems that Pascha can mean more than the Jewish holy day of Passover. In fact, Greeks today who wish to send the greeting Happy Easter say Kali Pascha. And like Anderson has shown that Koine Greek and modern Greek extremely similar, extremely. Like it's barely changed over the years. Literally, it means good Passover. And so this is C. Walter Bauer's Greek English lexicon, New Testament, other early Christian literature. Boy, and that's really authoritative. And then this is by Gretchen Passatino. Easter is an English corruption from the Proto-Germanic root meaning to rise. So Ost in German, English east, where the sun rises, the sun of righteousness. It means resurrection. It is not true that it arrives from the pagan Germanic goddess Ushtar or the Babylonian goddess Ishtar. There was no Jewish authority at Jerusalem to determine the uniform date after the destruction of Jerusalem in the temple AD 70. In communities with no Jewish presence, Christians found it even more difficult to determine a date. Once the churches became unified in the 4th century, the date was more consistent till the West's adoption of the revised Gregorian calendar. We read in Eusebius' Ecclesiastical History, a question of no small importance arose at the time about AD 190, and it's about the Easter controversy. The earliest Christians celebrated the resurrection on the 14th of Nisan, the date of the Jewish Passover. Christians had obviously been celebrating Easter before AD 150. And he goes into a lot of different things. So anyhow, I'm well aware that the original Christian celebration of Easter has been corrupted over the years with bunnies, candies, and eggs. But these corruptions came about much later in church history. Also, he recommends Nick Sayers, Sayers, about it as well, and also Scott Jones. Scott Jones has written an article. So, now that you know Easter means resurrection, and the specific context of Pascha, Easter is the right translation. So God bless you. We love you. What's the old thing? Never move a fence till you know why it's there, so don't just be moving words because it sounds good and it gets popular, because sometimes popular wisdom is wrong. Love you. God bless. Bye-bye.